Simonelli take today's title, but the 24-year-old will have to do it old school style as we welcome you to the third edition of the Mark Roth Plastic Ball Championship. Glad you're with us this Sunday afternoon. Rob Stone and PBA Hall of Famer Randy Peterson here with you. But first things first, it's not about urethane. It's not about reactive resin. It's about this, plastic. Every single bowler this week and today bowled with a similar retro plastic ball, kind of like the one Mark Roth used to dominate with.
Yeah, you're right, Rob. It really leveled the playing field in terms of equipment. Each player started this tournament able to drill 2 of these plastic cover stock bowling balls with pancake-shaped weight blocks. This is typically the ball you see our players use to shoot spares with on a weekly basis. Don't expect to see that big back-end reaction that you're used to seeing with reactive resin. It's not going to be there. And the players had to make the adjustments accordingly.
Now, 2 of our 4 bowlers on today's show grew up throwing the plastic. You have Hall of Famer Parker Bone III and your #1 seed, Jason Couch. The other 2 think plastic is to be used and then recycled. You have 4th seed Tom Smallwood and today's hometown favorite, Ryan Simonelli, who, Randy, has been bowling in this facility since he was 13 years old.
Yeah, he's got some good karma in this building. You take a look at when he won his first title just a little over a month ago in California. He was a #1 seed in Dublin and put together a flawless performance en route to his first victory.
Simonelli has massive amounts of revolution and speed in his game, somewhat similar to the massive power game that Mark Roth displayed through the 60s, the one-time most dominating bowler on the PBA Tour. This tournament named in his honor. And Mark Roth, a couple years ago, suffered a stroke, still has some paralysis on his left side. But if you're looking to be put in a good mood, enjoy this scene from just moments ago. Mark Roth throwing out the first ball. The old man still got it.
Still has that same push away, doesn't he?
Turned 60 in April. He is getting stronger by the day. He is bowling in therapy against his therapist and dominating his therapist. Great sight to witness today. And we now go back to today's competition and the intro for match #1.
The #4 qualifier owns 1 career PBA Tour title, the 2009 PBA World Championship. He finished 2nd at the PBA Tournament of Champions, earning $100,000. From Saginaw, Michigan, Tom Smallwood.
Look at Mark and his wife Denise taking this in. Tom Smallwood. He's got some supporters here as well. Randy was telling us yesterday, some of his buddies from Michigan getting up at about 3, 4 in the morning, driving all the way over here. Not all of them had their passports, so they couldn't do the shortcut through Canada. They had to go looping around. Added a couple hours to the drive. His wife, mom, and daughter here as well.
And completely different ball reaction like I talked about in the open. You see that ball hooking early and then kind of straightening out as it goes down the lane. And that's typically what our players try to get their bowling balls to do. Read early and then a very subtle back-end reaction.
So Smallwood with the spare, and we make way for our second competitor in today's opening match.
The #3 seed is a 32-time PBA Tour champion, including 1 major, former Player of the Year, and 4-time Steve Nagy Sportsmanship Award winner from Jackson, New Jersey, PBA Hall of Famer Parker Bone III.
Parker's wife, Leslie, some of his children made the drive up from New Jersey to see Dad in action. It has been a long time since we saw Parker on TV.
It's one of the best games in the history of professional bowling. Parker Bone III, no surprise he's here throwing plastic balls because he's a shot maker.
He's had success in the past plastic ball tournaments. 2-time PBA Player of the Year. And matches Smallwood with a spare of his own. And we go back to our story about Mark Roth in attendance there with his wife. And here is Mark on one of his rehab activities. And yeah, it's kind of in his wheelhouse.
trying to bowl for therapy. My therapist came up, physical therapist is here, and we go out and bowl. And I beat him one day. Shot 157 with a triple, and you know, it's kind of tough to make spares. I don't have the speed right now. I'm taking 2 steps, just swinging the ball and throwing it to get my legs stronger.
Parker with the strike there, and we go back to Mark Roth, and we saw his opening shot. We listened to that soundbite. He's still got the fire between the ears, doesn't he? He's ready to compete.
Absolutely. Yeah, and Mark was one of the greatest competitors our sport has ever known. I guarantee you, if he was physically able, he would have bowled this event.
Somebody of his generation that did bowl the event, you can see him just to your left of the screen, Johnny Petraglia, had a wonderful week. He'll join us in a couple segments live. Finished 8th. Man. Smallwood has been right of target both times, or rather left of target both times. Take a look at his arsenal that he would have used had we not been bowling only with a plastic ball.
Wicked Siege or a loaded revolver, but obviously everybody having to use the same plastic ball, not just a plastic ball, but the same plastic ball. Players were able to drill 2 balls to start the tournament. As they advanced through match play and to the telecast, well, our 4 finalists today were allowed to drill a total of 4. You can put surface on it. You can drill it any way you want in terms of layouts, as long as it still falls within the USBC guidelines as being legal. But other than that,
that was the one big manipulation you could do with the ball, is the layout. And a lot of guys were having remembered some problems they had last year, and they said, I need a different layout this year, and Smallwood was one of those guys.
well, because of his unusual role, last year, every time he let go of it, the ball would clip the thumb hole. And because plastic balls don't flare as much as reactive resin balls, it would stay on the thumb. And so he really had to make a huge adjustment in terms of layouts to keep his bowling ball from rolling over the thumb hole and thumping all the way down the lane.
Yeah, he was saying there was like a soundtrack to him bowling. It was just boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom. Nothing was smooth.
Thump, thump, thump. You know, the other interesting thing, you see Smallwood go through the nose 3 shots in a row, but because of the subtle ball reaction to the back part of the lane, he's shot 3 9 or single pin spares instead of the big designs, the big giant ugly splits from reactive resin balls cutting through the heart of the head pin so much more sharply.
Three lefties on today's show. Tom Smallwood, the great right hope today. And take another look at what it did to the rack.
And Rob, just to tell you how good these players are, with plastic balls this week for 32 games, Tom Smallwood averaged 225, Parker Bone III averaged 228. And this is on a sport-compliant oil pattern, 2-to-1 ratio. So take a look at his arsenal, what he could have used if he had the choice. But, of course, he had to use the Mark Roth Plastic Special.
Struck earlier on the left lane, did Parker. Here he is again in the fourth. Likes the left lane better. Early results in.
And the other thing, Rob, is when talking about reactive resin bowling balls, 15 pounds and 16 pounds, if you ask the majority of the players out here, there really isn't a difference in terms of power, in terms of how hard the bowling ball hits the pins because of that sharp back-end reaction. Huge difference when you're throwing plastic. Parker Bone III, the only player on today's telecast using 16 pounds.
That one found the pocket. First strike of the afternoon for Tom Smallwood. Head on over to PBA.com during today's telecast to submit your More of What Matters to You fan question, brought to you by the makers of One a Day. And the question will be directed to our tournament leader, Jason Couch. If your question is picked, you'll be recognized on air, and your question will be answered live. Head on over to PBA.com right now to submit your question to Jason Couch. Smallwood working off his first strike of this match as we open up the fifth.
Well, he's only trailing by 2 pins if he covers here. Looks like he has a pretty good idea of what to do on the right lane, but has yet to hit the pocket on the left lane. Look for Tom Smallwood to make an adjustment on that lane in the 7th. But again, the good news, only trailing by 2 if he converts here.
Four spares, 1 strike for Smallwood thus far. And here's Parker Bone III in his 108th career TV singles appearance. Here's how he got here, 11-7 in match play, lost in the position round to Smallwood, but Parker Bone was already pretty much locked into that 3rd spot. He could go no higher nor no lower. Oh, yeah!
Hey, Parker Bone, this is Randy. Hey, great break there. How do you capitalize here on the left lane?
You know what? I thought it was going to be high off my hand. I guess I was wrong. It was a strike. Just go out and make another great shot in this left lane and hope they all fall over.
Thanks, Parker.
Messenger had to do double duty over here.
Yeah, it was like
spinning, cutting, the assist, Tim Burr.
little domino effect.
The Mark Roth Plastic Ball Championship is brought to you by Lumber Liquidators, hardwood flooring for less. The makers of Bear Aspirin, expect wonders. By Budweiser, great times are waiting, grab some buds. And by Go RVing, visit GoRVing.com to watch a free video. Go affordably, Go RVing. Through 5.5, 3-seed and Hall of Famer Parker Bone III up 11 here in match number 1 of the Mark Roth Plastic Ball Championship. Time now for the Lumber Liquidators Know the Wood weekly segment with Randy.
The Mark Roth Plastic Ball Championship oil pattern is 34 feet in length and is the shortest oil pattern our players have faced all season long. With that being said, it's also half the volume of oil of a standard event. This oil pattern was specifically designed just for this tournament and is sport compliant. Now on today's telecast, we have 3 southpaws and 1 right-hander. Jason Couch, the tournament leader, one of our southpaws, he totally dominated this event. But Tom Smallwood is your lone righty. Will he have an advantage today? I guess we're just going to have to stick around and find out.
So, Randy, why did the lefties have so much success this week in your eyes?
Because obviously there's more right-handed play than left-handed play, and because we weren't using reactive resin this week, the right-handers had to stay farther right. They didn't have to get into 4th or 5th arrow and completely destroy the left side of the lane. So the oil pattern, the integrity of the oil pattern held up on the left side and thus gave the lefties a fighting chance. And, well, I think that anytime you have a Simonelli and a Jason Couch with all that power going plastic, that's going to be a huge advantage for them. Left-handers have an affinity for playing out. That's pretty much where they learn to bowl, playing the outside part of the lane. I think they're a little bit better at it than right-handers. Typically, you don't see right-handers playing out anymore. And so I think that's why the advantage went to the lefties this week.
Smallwood has really only found the pocket a few times here in match number 1, but it is a tight affair with Parker Bone III.
Strike here, he cuts it to 1. He has yet to hit the pocket on this left lane.
still with problems on the left lane.
Yeah, and this is a really tough spare.
Turn it into a double somehow.
When you're throwing reactive resin, you can get it to finish hard enough to cover the back pin, the 9-pin. But with plastic, your margin for error on the 3, 6, 9, 10 is nil. He's going to have to flush that 3, 6 and have that plastic ball cover the 9-pin. That's a great spare, Rob. Great spare.
Smallwood remains clean with that spare pickup. Here is Parker Bone III. Nobody has thrown more 300 games in competition than this guy. 85 perfect games.
Oh! Ripping the rack with that plastic ball. Nice. Now, Parker Bone III, he was the higher seed, so he got choice of starting lane. He decided to have Tom Smallwood start this match so Parker could finish on the left lane. He thinks the left lane is the better of the two for him.
Now, Bone has 4 strikes, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. Here he is on the left to begin the 8th. Leaves the 7.
Just missed it. A hair at the bottom of the swing. Direction was great. Just needed to catch it a little bit more. Leaves a soft 7 right here. You see the 4-pin go to the sidewall and just kind of lay there. You know, we've seen it time and time again, Rob. When you have a chance to take your opponent out, you take him out. Don't let him hang around. And I guarantee you that's exactly what Parker Bone III is thinking.
So the lead somehow still remains at 11 for Parker Bone III as we take a look at other finishers this week, rolling through the top 16 and some interesting names and numbers this week here in Buffalo. Strike number 3 for Smallwood.
Look at that name right there, Johnny Petraglia. 64-year-old Johnny Petraglia finished 8th. I told you last week, he is a bad man still. Look at that guy. Johnny signed me in my first pro contract with Brunswick back some, gosh, I don't even know how many years ago. It was so long ago. And we've remained great friends throughout the years. I have nothing but the utmost respect for Johnny Petraglia.
And he'll be joining us in the booth coming up soon.
Can't wait. I'm giddy.
Big shot here in the 9th for Smallwood. Looking for his 4th strike. Looking for his first double.
Jesus.
No breaks thus far for Smallwood in match number 1.
Keep moving it. Keep flicking.
Well, you heard it. He keeps making the logical adjustment, which is to move left and open up the lane a bit, but it hasn't been enough. Tom, what's going on with that left lane?
It might curve a little. It's a lot earlier, and the 2-2 was in practice washed out on him, so I know I can't miss right either.
Thanks, Tom.
So Smallwood will take a seat. He still has the 10th to bowl. He is down 11 to Parker Bone III, who's set to close out the 9th right now. Whoa.
Are you kidding?
That's the first break for Tom Smallwood, and it comes from Parker Bone, leaving this nasty spare effort.
Yeah, awful break for Parker. Goes through the nose right here. He really liked the shot. It hooked a bit early.
got a better chance of making it if you hit them.
Yeah, and that's a mistake, losing count like that. Now Parker Bone III needs to double in the 10th and get 6 to force Tom Smallwood to double.
Here's today's Just for Men Mustache and Beard Keep Your Edge moment. Features Parker Bone III. The last time he was in the winner's circle was right here at this facility, winning the Cheetah Championship December 7th, 2008. It's all 10 to fall there to open up the 10th.
We've seen it the last couple of weeks out here. Double in the 10th frame, make your opponent show up. Last week, who can forget what happened when Norm Duke struck out in the 9th and 10th frame? Bill O'Neill, he was put to the test. Right now, Parker Bone III, one more strike here and good count will force Tom Smallwood to double. Another seasoned veteran, Rob, stepping up and getting it done in the 10th frame.
Yeah, he's closing the 10th like Norm Duke did last week at the U.S. Open in the championship match.
He wanted to finish on this left lane. He got to finish on this left lane. He made the most of it. Tom Smallwood needs a double, or Parker Bone will advance.
So he's in the books with a 2:01.
Good news for Smallwood, his only strikes coming on this right lane. The last 3 in a row, all on the right lane. 2 strikes and 4 pins. What happened there?
I didn't see or hear anything from our vantage point, but Smallwood, maybe a little noise, enough to distract him. Again, needs a double here to move on. And he won't get it. And Parker Bone III will advance.
Well, Tom Smallwood didn't look comfortable the entire game, and this is a pretty good shot. Drifts just a little bit high, trips the 4, but the 10 still stands up.
So the Parker Bone III team has reason to stick around for another match.
But Rob, getting back to Tom Smallwood, you know, you get a sense talking with him that the only thing that he lacks out here is a little bit of confidence. Well, let me just say this. He's proven he's no one-hit wonder out here. Tom, if the only thing that's holding you back from winning a bunch of tournaments out here is confidence, take it from me and Rob. You're good, brother.
Yeah, I agree. He said that to us. He said, I've learned the difference between good and great is confidence, his attitude. He's a very unassuming guy, tremendous Midwestern appeal. He needs that killer instinct on the lanes, and he can be something special. He can be something like Parker Bone III has been through his career. Now, when we return, we're going to revisit and reflect on one of the biggest misses in PBA history, Mika Koivunemi's 10th frame, 10-pin U.S. Open airball.